In this book, a proven production model is described, which is capable of producing an income from a small acreage equal or superior to that of most off-farm jobs. However, this production model is capable of producing more than money. It is capable of producing a very high quality of life, as anyone who's ever visited Joel and Teresa's farm can attest. As much as I admire Joel Salatin's agricultural engineering abilities, I admire even more his steadfast refusal to compromise his family's quality of life. Probably the greatest lesson we can learn from Joel's success is that if we produce a high enough quality product, the marketplace will bend and adapt itself to meet our needs, wants, and desires. We just need to have faith and stand our ground. This production model should be viewed as a whole. All the recommendations contained in this book are the results of many years of costly trial and error and should not be dismissed lightly in your initial efforts. This model will not return the same dollars if it is done on a non-seasonal basis, or if the chickens are sold in any method other than live and direct. Most of the disappointments with pastured poultry have come from people who thought they could come up with an easier production or marketing model than Joel is using. As Joel points out, you should start off producing no more chickens than you and your family can consume until you are sure you can produce a superior product. The first person you have to sell on your chicken is you. Your best advertising will be the exceptional taste of your chicken. Give some to your friends and neighbors and let your business grow slowly from word-of-mouth referrals. Start small and give yourself plenty of time to see if pastured poultry truly fits your needs and lifestyle before investing a lot of capital. Due to the necessity to condition the pasture for the chickens and to rotate the land where the chickens are grazed, this production model is best used in combination with some form of ruminant livestock production. In addition to poultry, Joel also sells excellent grass-fed beef. All of us interested in seeing an American rural revival should thank Joel and Teresa Salatin for going to the effort and expense to share their experiences and recommendations for pastured poultry with you. A couple working 6 months per year for 50 hours per week on 20 acres can net 25 to 30K per year with an investment equivalent to the price of one new medium-sized tractor. Seldom has agriculture held out such a plum. In a day where mainline farm experts predict the continued demise of the family farm, the pastured poultry opportunity shines like a beacon in the night, guiding the way to a brighter future. I've pastured poultry in portable pens since the late 1960s, when I was scarcely a teenager. It worked then and it works now. Because so many people have sought information on our model, I have attempted to put it in writing so that it may be duplicated throughout the world. For the health of the rural economy, the health of the environment, the health of the poultry consuming public, and the health of farm families, we offer this proposal. We encourage continued refinements and innovation to this system and trust that our role as catalysts will encourage thousands of enterprising farm families. Polyface Inc. is a closely held, incorporated family farm established by my parents William T. and Lucille Salatin, located just southwest of Staunton, Virginia, in the scenic Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. The farm is currently operated by my mother and my family, wife Teresa Wenger Salatin, son Daniel, and daughter Rachel. My grandfather Frederick Salatin was a charter subscriber to Organic Gardening and Farming magazine and was a master gardener and craftsman from Indiana. Dad and Mom moved to Virginia in 1961 and carried the organic farming torch from Grandpa. I am the privileged third generation to continue the principles based on the belief that God created the earth and established humanity as its steward to nurture, protect, and embellish. This philosophy precludes the use of toxic chemicals, debasing substances, and erosive practices, and instills instead an insatiable thirst for agricultural truth. The truth manifests itself in natural principles of plant and animal life. The farm should capitalize on these laws rather than fight against them. Roughly 550 acres. The farm is about 100 acres open land and the balance wooded. We produce organic grass-fattened beef, homegrown broilers, firewood, eggs, rabbits, and vegetables. Full-time farmers who are not independently wealthy, we rely on the farm for our sustenance and have developed production, processing, and marketing systems that make an end run around conventional agricultural's roadblocks. We can hardly imagine being more enthusiastic about farming, and trust that these pages will encourage and inspire farmers of all ages to go forward with renewed optimism. Joel Salatin, July 1993. Why Pastured Poultry? Chapter 1. The Pastured Poultry Opportunity. A couple working 50 hours a week for 6 months a year on 20 acres can net $25,000 to $30,000. What other agricultural enterprise can do that? Read that first paragraph again. Let it sink in. There are certain times in the history of any culture where golden opportunities go begging. This is one of those times. All the indicators point to pastured, home, processed poultry as one of this century's best family farm enterprises. Per capita consumption of red meats is down while poultry and fish are on a dramatic incline. Who would have predicted in 1900 that poultry would surpass beef in per capita consumption? It has, and the lines of the chart continue their divergent paths. Americans are buying chickens. But there is a catch. The poultry industry's factory farming methodology, its automated processing plants with concomitant salmonella and sickness outbreaks among consumers have completely adulterated the product. Media attention on the vertically integrated poultry industry is unprecedented. National TV, news, programs, and magazine articles and a crusade from animal rights activists against inhumane confinement have left many consumers rightfully concerned about the safety and environmental costs of poultry products in the supermarket. If there was an alternative, some cleanly, humanely produced poultry, consumers would flock to it. No pun intended. Many consumers have turned vegetarian in the face of perceived filth and animal cruelty. Justified or not, this reaction further contracts the pool of the consumers who otherwise would patronize the meat counter. Nutritional perceptions coupled with the new environmental sensitivities are creating a generation clamoring for natural, organic, ecological, biological, regenerative food. Call it what you will, everyone knows deep down what these ideas mean, in spite of ongoing academic debates over definitions. The fact is that many consumers want to exit conventional food channels, some of necessity, some of conviction, some of mistrust, and some simply because somewhere they've tested clean food and found it memorable. Pastured poultry offers an alternative to all these consumers. Pastured chickens, because they eat high amounts of forage, can be clinically shown to be far lower in saturated fat than conventionally produced birds. Raised without the negatives, antibiotics, steroids, fecal air, and artificial light, but with the positives, probiotics, kelp meal, natural vitamins, fresh air, and sunshine, clean pasture paddocks, and in small groups, pastured birds offer a completely different meat to the consumer. Pasturing allows these birds to be grown without damaging substances. The industry says Cornish cross broilers cannot be raised without artificial vitamin packs and antibiotics. They are right. If the birds are raised in a setting as unnatural as factory confinement houses, but out on pasture with fresh air, sunshine, green material, and wholesome feed, these broilers will outperform their factory counterparts in every way. They will gain better, convert feed more efficiently, be healthier, fewer colds for any reason, including benign tumors, and possess a superior taste. That makes them easy to sell and easy to eat. It allows competitive production costs all the while producing a more nutritious, clean product. Each bird requires about 5.5 person minutes during the production phase and about 3.5 minutes during the processing phase. Each chicken, therefore, allowing for slippage, requires roughly 9 person minutes. Fixed costs run approximately $1.80 to $2 per bird, at a selling price of $1.35 per pound and an average carcass weight of 4 pounds. This yields about $3 profit per bird, or $12 to $20 per hour for the producer's time. Machinery investment runs between $10 and $15K, but that can be expended over time and can be reduced by procuring second-hand equipment. For 6 months, the couple works hard, producing 10,000 broilers, processing 2 long days a week for 20 weeks. Daily chores on the 5 non-processing days take about 4 hours. The other 6 months can be spent loafing, working, or whatever. Many things can make this model not work. Trying to shortcut the pasture element, mismanagement, hiring the processing done off the farm, shortcutting ration ingredients, or a host of other things. Success is not guaranteed. People are not equal in their desire or ability to succeed as entrepreneurs. Just because you raise a good product or just because you have a novel approach, you are not free from the rules of prudent business. But the potential is there. It has been done and it can be done, that is for sure. This opportunity applies to a broad spectrum of people. Lest you miss the personal application, I will describe where this opportunity fits. It is certainly a way for a couple to get into farming. Whether you own land or not, it is a way to start farming and make it a full-time vocation. A family currently farming but floundering for a way to make it pay is a prime candidate. Perhaps you are seeking a way to turn your financially distressed farm around. Here is a way. Perhaps you are an elderly farmer and you have children who want to farm. You have discouraged them because everyone knows there's no money in it. So along with your peers, you've encouraged your children to leave the farm and spend their lives doing something more financially rewarding. Perhaps it is too late for you to begin this enterprise, but you can have the vicarious thrill of watching or helping your children build a financially and emotionally rewarding farming future. Or perhaps you have fished around for something to occupy a son or daughter on the farm. Your farm may be making a living for you, but you don't see how it can provide employment for your child and family too. Your heart's desire is to work alongside your child in your older years, to enjoy the camaraderie and the satisfaction of watching the farm pass on to the next generation. Here is a way for that next generation to earn a healthy living without impacting the rest of the farm, without taking away any income from the normal farm operations. Maybe you are a second or third child. Dad and mom set up the firstborn on the farm, but now you're coming along and you like to farm too, but the farm just can't pay any other salary. Ask for a corner somewhere and show that you can earn on your own way. They may poke fun at you at first, but you can cry all the way to the bank. Perhaps you're a consumer who has no desire to farm, but you would like healthy food and you know an enterprising young person who would be perfect for this. Pass this opportunity along. In short, this opportunity spans America, urban and rural, young and old, male and female. Let the dream belong to you or someone you know. Just remember, a couple working 50 hours a week for 6 months a year on 20 acres can net 25 to 30K. That's better than a city job. Chapter 2. What is wrong with the poultry industry? Many people from the alternative foods movement do not think a radical overhaul of its vertically integrated poultry industry is necessary to produce a chicken worth eating. They want to minimize the changes, thinking that a few changes here and there will make good chicken. I think it is important to point out just how far away from correct the mainline poultry industry is. When we examine it all in one place, I think the evidence will indeed suggest that the whole mess is rotten, beyond salvage, and ought to be thrown out. First of all, the poultry capitals are not located near the grain capitals. This means that the poultry centers must import their grain from hundreds of miles away. and the grain centers lose the manure nutrients generated from their grain. The obvious result is a nutrient overload in the poultry production areas and a nutrient shortfall in the grain producing areas. This nutrient overload generally goes into the groundwater, surface water runoff, and into the air as ammonia vapor. The soil can only assimilate a certain volume of nutrients. This is why environmental groups and the rural house and lot folks are passing ordinances about poultry houses. Farmers say their property rights are being infringed upon, that they ought to be able to build what they want, where they want, and when they want, and they should be able to spend that manure when, where, and how they want. The polarization is enormous. The tragedy is that it doesn't have to be that way. Our model does not smell, does not pollute, angers no neighbors with noxious odors, and kills no babies through nitrate-induced sudden infant death syndrome. The point is that these problems are inherent in a system that concentrates poultry production, that worships at the altar of a fast buck instead of long-term societal well-being. Grower concentration is necessary because a processing plant can only service growers within a 100-mile radius or so. As soon as you concentrate processing, production must be concentrated as well. The size of the processing facility and the concentration of poultry inherently cause many of the problems. We can't just take the current industry, feed the birds organic feed and natural supplements, and have an acceptable system. The fact is that we must decentralize the production, thereby spreading the manure around in a light enough application that the soils can assimilate the nutrients. The next major flaw is the whole notion of confinement housing or factory farming. As the Humane Society calls it, the inherent fecal contamination in such a model causes all sorts of health problems. Feathers, eyes, beaks, nostrils, nothing is exempt from a layer of fecal dust and its pathogen-laden microorganisms. The birds breathe in the fecal dust, which contains a high percentage of ammonia, and this causes lesions of the respiratory linings, the fragile mucous membranes. Perhaps no single problem in the industry receives more attention than this. That is why the chicken industry has now gone to nipple waterers that resemble a guinea pig waterer. It's not because it is easier, but because the industry is trying to get away from fecal contamination that coats water pans, feeders, and everything in the house. Fecal dust is everywhere, and the birds live in that their whole lives. Fecal contamination and certainly ammonia can both be diminished by a proper carbon-nitrogen ratio in the bedding in a composting floor litter. But even with the closest attention to detail, a house of 10,000 birds is still going to have a major problem. It's just too many birds in too tight a space. Air exchange and management simply can't keep up with such a volume. Because the factory house has such inherent problems, productivity is maintained by feeding antibiotics and hormones, poisons to enhance the appetite like arsenic, heavy metals, and a host of other additives that increase meat toxins. The meat therefore becomes soft, water absorbent, lacks muscle tone, and is violently toxic to environmentally sensitive people. This environment stimulates drug-resistant salmonella, which the human body was not made to handle. The medical community is publishing startling discoveries about R-factor disease strains, dubbed superbugs by researchers. These organisms are resistant to traditional antibiotics and have come into existence as a direct result of drug feeding on farms. Now we move to the processing, which begins after birds are loaded on trucks and driven for up to 3 hours to the processing plant. Mechanical killing requires a perfectly still bird so the cutting wheel will hit the jugular vein every time. When the birds hang upside down on the shackles, they twist and turn, not conducive to mechanical killings. To get them still, an electrical current stuns them. This keeps the birds from bleeding well and accounts for much of the black clot of blood around the bones of conventional birds.